Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I wasn't planning, this is my no vote explanation, and I'd like my remarks printed in the journal.
Without objection, so ordered.
I wasn't planning on speaking on this resolution, but I read it and felt compelled because Rochester Hills, one of the communities that I represent, was hoisted up and thrust into the national spotlight as an example of a small error that was quickly corrected, but that was used to blow up this idea that there was widespread fraud. And the Rochester Hills clerk is one of the best election officials in the entire country. She's a Republican, I'm a Democrat. We disagree on some issues, but we are not only partners in this, we're friends. She and I are very close. And she has dedicated her life and her career to administering fair and secure elections. She and I actually hosted a virtual town hall the week before the election to answer any questions that people had. And I wanted to make sure that it was myself, a Democrat, and a Republican from our district to show people that we were aligned around making sure it was all about accurate information, getting the information out there and working together. But she and I talked after what happened in Rochester Hills was a stack of ballots was entered twice, but quickly corrected. And shortly after she found out she had lost her election for county clerk, which she was running for, suddenly she was the focus of national attention and threats. And it was horrifying for her. And when I talked to her on the phone, the first thing she said was, "I can't believe I made a mistake." But we fixed it. As soon as we saw it, we fixed it. And that she mostly felt like she let down every election worker, every poll worker, everybody who volunteered, even though she did her job. And her entire team did their job. And as soon as it was brought to the attention, it was corrected, which showed that the system works. And what I want to say here is I know every single office, every single legislator here has had their staff go through the ringer for the past few weeks. We have gotten thousands and thousands of emails and phone calls and social media messages, not from Michigan. My staff now jokes that we need a punch card. We have every single state in the country and other countries threatening us to continue to looking into the fraud that exists, which is taking precious time away from our staff being able to get to our constituents who need us, whose unemployment is running out, who need to find a food pantry, who want job help, who want help on their resume, whatever it may be. We have to sift through thousands of emails because Michigan is now at the center of this idea that there is somehow widespread fraud and that the system is fundamentally broken when lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit shows that there is no fraud. Our role here as legislators is to introduce and pass legislation. And for months, if not years, because I know how long the clerks and election officials have been working to prepare for this election, they've been telling us what they needed. They're the experts. They want more time to be able to process or count absentee ballots so that we don't run into an issue where we're waiting a few days afterwards for the results, because that time, I think we've all learned this year, is where doubt is seated when we're waiting. What could go wrong? Why is it taking so long? And in Michigan, it didn't take that long. But this legislature didn't listen to their asks. We didn't listen to the experts who told us what they needed. Instead, we continue to fan the flames of these ideas of fraud. Our role as the legislature should be to introduce and pass bills to support our election workers, to improve our election system. And I think everybody wants to work on that. We all want to make sure our elections run smoothly. But if anybody has evidence of a crime, they should report that crime to law enforcement and go through the proper channels. That is how we restore faith in our elections. Because I gotta tell you, every time we say, well, we're just asking questions. Well, just asking questions is the very definition of doubt. If you're not sure about something, But week after week after week, we continue to just ask questions. That flies in the face of every election expert who's telling us this is what happened, showing us the paperwork. We have paper ballots in Michigan. There's a hard copy backup of everything, showing us the evidence. And we turn around and say, no, that's not good enough because there are just too many questions. We're just asking questions. The way that we restore faith in our elections is by those of us in the room standing up and standing beside the people who have committed their entire careers and their lives to making sure people have the right to vote, and saying we stand with them because they're right and they're the experts and there's no partisanship behind it. And I think the most heartbreaking thing to me is now this clerk out of Rochester Hills, who, like I said, is one of the best in the entire country, is questioning her career choices. And I don't blame her. Her entire life's work has been thrown under the bus. And that's a loss to my community, to our state, and to our entire country. Thank you.